We're so glad you've been able to join us today, and we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to be involved in the life of our congregation. And we have some exciting things scheduled coming up, and we want you to know about them. The first is that if you're watching worship on Sunday today, and it's still Sunday morning, we have an event this afternoon. We're going tubing out at Nordic Mountain. And if you've never been there, it's a really cool tubing hill. They have a giant conveyor belt. So you go down on your tube, and then you drag it a little ways to the conveyor belt, and that takes you all the way back up the hill. You don't have to trudge up the hill every time. The cost of the tickets, you can purchase them online directly from NordicMountain.com. It's $24, and our group will be arriving in the slot between 1 and 2. And basically, you buy a ticket, you get 2 hours of tubing in that ticket that starts from when you officially take your ticket. So if you get there at 1:40, you get to go for 2 hours. And then afterwards, we're going to meet at my cabin, which is just a few minutes away, for a bonfire and some snacks. So if you're interested, it'd be great if you shoot a message. You can just send a Facebook message, and I'll get it so we know you're coming. And you can just meet right out at Nordic Mountain if you can still get there. Another thing we have coming up is the Saving Grace class. This is a class that is about how we deal with money. And it is a great class if you've had some conflict in your family or in a relationship about money, if you've struggled with debt, if you've had some trouble saving, or just setting goals. And it's a really good class, and we're going to be teaching it at a couple different times. So you have some flexibility. We want people to not miss any classes, but we're going to be doing it at the family church in person after worship each Sunday. And you also have the option of doing it at my wife's church, Algoma Boulevard, which is on the north side of Oshkosh, on Wednesday evenings. And that session will also be offered by Zoom. So you can do it on Wednesday evenings from your own home if you want, and still be a part of that class and a part of the discussions via Zoom. And it's okay if you have to flip-flop between the 2 or 3 options. If you're going to be out of town one week, you can make it up on Wednesday night or whatever. If you do it usually on Wednesday night, you can do one of them on a Sunday afternoon. So we hope you can join us for that. There's more information on our Facebook page, or you can contact us using the link below. And the other opportunity we have coming up is kind of a special one. It's a mission trip for anybody who's over age 11. If you're 11 and up, you can participate. It's April 6th to 9th. We're going to be going to the Midwest Mission Distribution Center, which is a place where all the stuff that people donate goes to be shipped out around the Midwest and all over the world. And in just a few days, we'll have an opportunity to do bike repair, sewing machine repair, building kits for floods or for people who've become homeless or refugees. They have desk building, so it's a woodworking shop, and they build these collapsible desks that are shipped to schools where kids are sitting on the ground. There's so many different opportunities of cool things to do. We stay in a dorm that has real bathrooms and beds and showers and all that stuff. There's more information available. Just, again, shoot me a Facebook message if you haven't gotten the email with the full information of what we're going to be doing and the cost and everything. But we'd love to have you join us. If you have a youth who is, under 18 but at least 11, and they want to go but you can't go, we will try to make arrangements to make that work as well, following our safe sanctuary policy. So as long as we have a couple of youth of the same gender and we can fit them in to one of the rooms, we will be happy to supervise your kid. If you have any other questions, let me know. And again, thanks for joining us today. If you would like to make a gift, there will be information following this. There'll be a slide that'll pop up with a QR code and all the info about how you can give online. And we want to thank you for all your gifts, for all of you who share your gifts of your talents to help make this happen, for the people who help put the videos together each week. And we want to thank all of you who give electronically and have regular gifts withdrawn from your bank accounts as well. Thanks again for joining us. It doesn't feel scary to me at all to walk on water today, but it's a little different circumstance. A couple months ago, I was really scared to step off the shore here. What things are you scared of? When have you been afraid to step out of the boat?
This is a reading from Matthew chapter 14, verses 22 to 33. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he had dismissed them, he went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Later that night he was there alone, and the boat was already a considerable distance from land, buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. Shortly before dawn, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to them, "Take courage, it is I. Do not be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on the water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down out of the boat, walked on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he saw the wind, he was afraid, and, beginning to sink, cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately Jesus reached out his hand and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt?" And when they climbed into the boat, the wind died down. Then those who were in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God."
Okay, Gracie, I'm here. You needed help with house sitting?
Oh, thanks for...
Ah, snake! It's eating you. Call 911.
It's not eating me. This is Mr. Cuddles, Rebecca's pet snake.
Yikes. I hope you're getting hazard pay. I thought house sitting was like watering plants and bringing in the mail.
And feeding the pets.
Why don't you just fill its bowl with snake food instead of feeding it yourself?
Cuddles likes attention, and you don't want to know what he eats.
Ah, it eats kids. You lured me over here to feed me to the snake.
No, not people. And even if he did eat people, he wouldn't eat a stinky middle school boy.
My aversion to cleanliness has paid off. Now I can add self-defense to my list of reasons not to shower.
You have a list of reasons not to shower? Anyway, why are you so afraid of snakes?
Because they're evil and venomous, and they live under Hogwarts, in the Chamber of Secrets, and work for Voldemort.
Mr. Cuddles is not a venomous nor evil, and has nothing to do with Harry Potter. He's just one of God's creatures.
Okay, so if you're not afraid of snakes, what are you afraid of?
I'm not going to tell you what I'm afraid of. You'll just tease me.
Well, I'm not going to tell you that I'm afraid of spiders. You'd probably get one and put it on me.
You're afraid of spiders?
No, I said I'm... Never mind. You must be afraid of something. Heights, the dark, banana-flavored Laffy Taffy.
Okay. I'm afraid of getting bad grades.
What? You never get a bad grade.
I almost got a B in gym last year.
You always say that gym doesn't count, even though it's the only A I ever get.
Fair enough. I'm worried about when our classes get harder. What if I can't keep on getting A's? I've heard some pretty scary stories about geometry.
Ooh, speaking of geometry, did you hear about the circle that was really smart?
No,
It had 350 degrees.
I'm serious. I'm really worried about advanced math.
But you don't jump up and scream when they hand out a math quiz.
No, but sometimes I have bad dreams about failing tests. I worry about not being able to figure out something and then not studying hard enough.
So why do you seem so cool and calm while I'm freaking out about not understanding the questions?
Well, I just imagine that Jesus is sitting there with me, and I remind myself that I got a good grade on the last test, and that I studied just as hard for this one. I usually come down by the time I write my name on top of the paper.
Does that work with snakes? I don't mean writing my name on the snake. I mean the Jesus part.
You'll have to try it.
Okay, I'll think about Jesus and you can come closer with the snake. Boo! Ah! That was mean. Jesus wouldn't do that.
Sorry. I just think it's silly that you're so scared of this sweet cuddly snake.
I think it's silly that you're afraid of getting a B, but I didn't make fun of you.
I'm sorry, you're right. Okay, try to touch Cuddles.
Boo! Ha! Got you back.
I think you're just too scared to touch a snake.
Baby steps, Gracie. I keep thinking about Jesus, but the snake keeps staring me in the eyes. I think he's trying to hypnotize me.
Well, Rebecca's out of town for all week. Maybe you could try again tomorrow.
Did you just bring me over here to scare me with the snake?
No, I have a special job for you. While I've got Mr. Cuddles, could you clean his cage? Or you could hold the snake while I clean the cage. I made brownies.
Fine, but you hold the snake. Tightly. Over there. Way over there.
Okay, fine. And just so you know, a circle is 360 degrees.
That's one smart circle.
So today we're continuing our series on the miracles of Jesus. When people think about Jesus doing something exciting, they think about him walking on water. There's a lot of expressions, or people will make jokes about Jesus walking on water, like when somebody's really great at something, what do you think, you can walk on water? There's even a lizard named after him, the Jesus lizard. Now, Jesus was not a show-off. There are some miracles in the Bible that seem to be there just to prove that God is powerful and capable of supernatural things. But in this case, Jesus was making a point. But right before that, he had some time alone, and after he had rested and prayed, it was time to rejoin the disciples. And the disciples were out in a boat. That was one of their favorite places to be. He walked out to them. It was no big deal to him. The disciples, however, were getting pounded a bit by waves, and they were focused on maybe fishing, or they were half asleep. It was a day where you probably wouldn't want to lean over the side too much because the boat was rocking pretty hard from the weather. The waves could wash over you if you fell in. They were amazed to see him walking above the waves. They were frightened by it. They thought he was a ghost at first. Jesus told them to calm down. Peter said, "If it's really you and not a ghost, tell me to come to you." So Jesus did, and he made it so Peter could walk on the water too. But a wave hit Peter's ankles, and he wasn't a good swimmer despite being a fisherman. He got scared and started to sink into the water. Jesus maybe gave him a moment to see if he would refocus and rise up again, but the fear was just catching up too much, and he quit focusing on Jesus and was focused on sinking into the water. So Jesus reached out his hand and caught him and helped him into the boat. But he made it clear that it was Peter's doubt and fear that sunk him. That kind of thing happens to us a lot in life. Not the part where we get to walk on water and hold hands with Jesus. The part where we doubt ourselves, where we let fear interfere. The part where we become afraid and miss out on opportunities. The part where we're too afraid to stick with the plan and we end up with nothing. It's a hard thing to navigate. On the one hand, fear is good. Fear keeps us alive. You know, if you want to go skydiving or whitewater rafting to check it off your bucket list, well, that's seizing the day, right? That's living life to its fullest. But doing crazy climbs and risky stuff all the time is just asking for it. You know, when we were in Arizona in January, we went to Flying Dutchman State Park, and we hiked along the side of a mountain there. It was really pretty. It was what you would think, like a Roadrunner cartoon with the cactus and the rock. And we didn't go on the most difficult and dangerous part of the trail. There's a part where you go up one of those steep, flat top mesa mountain things. We decided it was a little too hard for our skill level and a little too dangerous. We had a good view from where we were anyway. Last week, you may have seen in the news that a guy went up that very trail, and he went up it at night with his friend. Maybe they were going up to look at the stars, we don't know. He fell off and died. There are things that are worth being afraid of. If somebody lonely, maybe they've had a breakup and they wish they could meet somebody, if they go out with their friends, maybe get on a dating app, we call that getting yourself out there. That's good. If they start going on several dates a week with strangers they just met online a few minutes before, we consider that dangerous. Investing your money in a new business venture can be risky. But if it's something you're going to really put a lot of work into, and you have a good business plan, and it's not just some multi-level marketing thing, well, then it's worth the risk. But running to the casino to fix your money problems, that's not a good risk. Fear often keeps us safe from bad decisions or physical danger. But fear can also keep us too safe. Fear of disrupting our lives might keep us from committing to a relationship. Fear of change might keep us from going in the new direction we need. We've talked about some fears. Both the phobias we have that we mentioned earlier in the video, and the things that scare us in life. Those are the kind of things that keep us from succeeding. We have to figure out the difference between types of fears. We should be afraid of things that are a legitimate danger to us, things that can kill or maim us or are likely to do that. I'm a little afraid of walking on ice. I'm not a fan of taking apart big, tall decks anymore. If you didn't know, I had a pretty serious accident last year. I've been in a couple situations where people were yelling and there were guns getting pulled out. I try to avoid that. Then there are things we're afraid of, but that we can survive. Like a fear of failure. Fear of being rejected or embarrassed. the fear of change, of doing something new. All of these are fears that prevent us from succeeding. They prevent us from doing what God wants. They cripple us and weaken us. I remember being terrified as a kid. One time there was a tornado that got a little too close. I remember a couple different times being home alone for a little while and something happened that got me scared. One time I was mugged. We've all had some kind of scary encounter as a kid. Maybe it was something with a tornado or a fire. Maybe it was with abuse or violence. I remember being really scared at the doctor. It was one of my earliest memories. I think I must have been maybe in kindergarten, maybe even younger. I fell on a concrete step and hit my head, and I needed stitches. What got me through it was my dad holding my hand and telling me it was going to be okay. And it was. As a parent, I've had to do that with my own kids, whether they were scared of the dentist or being in trouble at school, even when they left home for the first time. The thing is, we don't always have our parent to hold our hand. My dad's been gone almost 9 years. I have his picture right here. I moved it so you could see it today. It's him in one of his favorite places, out fishing in a boat. I thought it was fitting since we're talking about the disciples being out in their boats. We don't always have our parents with us to hold our hand, but we do have Jesus. When I had my accident last year, I had Jesus there with me. When I had to go into that MRI machine, it's that narrow tube that's really loud and claustrophobic that everybody hates, I was able to put the claustrophobia out of my mind. I decided to focus on Jesus and just be inside myself and forget about what was happening outside my body. And it worked. I stayed focused inside and on Jesus. I just think about Jesus reaching out his hand and saying, "You've got this. You can handle this. You're going to get through this." And it works in more places than MRI machines, tall bridges, airplanes, or doctor's offices. It works when God is calling us too. When God's calling us to do something difficult, to serve somebody, or do something we're uncomfortable with. When God puts an opportunity in front of us to make a difference. When God makes it possible for us to finish school or get a better job or repair a broken relationship, even if it means talking to somebody that we haven't talked to in quite a while. Whatever we're afraid of, God can help us to move forward. God expects us to use common sense and rational fear to keep us from harm. But God also asks us to step out of the boat, to be uncomfortable, to put ourselves out there to accomplish things. Whatever it is, Jesus is there telling us, telling you, you've got this. You can handle this. You're going to get through this. We're not alone. Amen.
In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.